Hello, I'm Congressman John Garamendi, and I'd like to begin by thanking the Arms Control Association for hosting this important event. It comes at a critical juncture as the Biden administration begins to review its nuclear posture. Now, for 50 years, the Arms Control Association has been serving this nation by promoting public understanding of and support for effective arms control policies. They've been an invaluable resource to me and to my colleagues on Capitol Hill. Now, I just returned from a visit to Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming, where I was able to see our ICBM facilities and operations firsthand. Having seen the Minuteman III ICBMs up close and spoken with the Air Force personnel responsible for these missiles, I am more convinced than ever that we must have a serious and thoughtful discussion on our nuclear modernization plans. The world is witnessing a new nuclear arms race, and this one is extremely dangerous. Tensions rise between the great powers. As the United States and Russia and China rush to modernize their nuclear arsenals, the tripwire is growing much more tight. Observation and communication satellites and systems are increasingly vulnerable to attacks. All three countries are fielding stealth and hypersonic nuclear delivery systems. They're designed to evade detection. The risk of a false alarm or a political miscalculation has haunted the nuclear landscape forever, and they do even more today. The tripwire is indeed taut, and the risks are increasing. Without a doubt, there's a critical need to maintain a safe, secure, and effective nuclear deterrent. We understand that, as do our allies. But do we need to match and outdistance Russia? And does Russia need to match and outdistance the United States? And does China need to expand its nuclear forces to keep pace? Now, as of today, the answer in Washington, Moscow, and Beijing is, of course we must. And so the nuclear arms race continues, as does the ever-increasing risks and costs of building and maintaining our nuclear dominance strategy. Now, estimates by the Government Accountability Office state that the nuclear modernization program will cost at least $1 trillion over the next 30 years. Other vital military and domestic programs are already getting crowded out. Earlier this month, the Government Accountability Office noted that the current plan to modernize every part of the U.S. nuclear arsenal simultaneously is a recipe for schedule delays and cost overruns. Former Secretary of the Air Force, Heather Wilson, noted in December that fiscal year 2022 budget will see a steep increase in the cost of refurbishing the nuclear deterrents. With a flat budget, she said that the Air Force could not proceed with these plans without crushing its ability to handle all its other missions. Supporters of the current nuclear buildup tell us that the only choice is to proceed full steam ahead with the current plans or allow the arsenal to rust into obsolescence. This is a false choice. America is already fielding new submarines and stealth bombers and long-range cruise missiles and hypersonic missiles, capable of delivering more than enough nuclear bombs anywhere in the world. Today, the real choice is to take a new path, with two straightforward actions that we could take this year to address unnecessary and expensive programs. First, pause the development and deployment of the Ground-Based Strategic Deterrent, the GBSD, and stop the deployment of the Submarine-Launched Cruise Missile. And number two, aggressively pursue arms control negotiations with Russia and China. The Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile program could be life extended, and its planned replacement, the GBSD, could be paused. The Air Force leadership has confirmed that another retrofit and upgrade of the Minuteman III could extend its usefulness until late in the 2030s, when a new ICBM might be necessary to replace the Minuteman III. This single common sense step could save $37 billion. Now, of course, there's a very powerful argument that the silo-based ICBM Minuteman III system is unnecessary, as our bombers and submarines alone can provide adequate deterrence. Moreover, it's argued that these ICBMs are inherently dangerous because they must be launched within minutes of notification of a nuclear attack, or they would be lost in a missile attack. In every silo lies the big risk of a false alarm or a miscalculation. Now, bombers can be recalled, and subs cannot be found as they hide in the ocean. Arms control negotiations are an imperative, and the good news for America and the world is that President Biden wants to chart a new course. In March, the interim national security strategic guidance called for a reduction in the role of nuclear weapons in our national security strategy, and to reestablish the U.S. as the leader in arms control negotiations. Within the first months of his presidency, Biden reversed the Trump policy and extended the New START treaty for 5 years. This treaty caps the number of nuclear deployed warheads and gives us the ability to conduct intrusive inspections of Russia's strategic nuclear forces. As a co-chair of the newly formed bicameral Nuclear Weapons and Arms Control Working Group, I, along with co-chairs Representative Beyer and Senators Merkley and Markey and 19 members of Congress, sent a letter to President Biden commending this action and encouraging more concrete steps to avoid a costly and dangerous arms race. The nuclear buildup by Russia, China, and the United States, it's not set in stone. We must encourage and support President Biden and his administration as they chart a new course in their nuclear posture review. This issue, it's far too important to get wrong. And all of us in elective office, we have a responsibility to understand and address this issue because the three great nuclear powers are rapidly building their nuclear arsenal, and the weapons that possess great risk, we have more than enough destructive power to obliterate life on Earth. Now, I want to end this with a personal memory of a visit to a United Kingdom submarine a couple of years ago. The submarine was about to deploy with 16 ICBMs and multiple nuclear bombs. The captain took great pride in his ship and its role of deterrence. As we were leaving the sub, I asked him, suppose you are ordered to launch your missiles and their nuclear bombs, and you follow the order. Then what do you do? Go home? To what? He didn't reply. He simply turned away.